You may have heard Kelsey Michael's distinctive voice on the soundtrack of Stanley Kubrick's acclaimed film Eyes Wide Shut. She toured with Minnow, her 8-piece band, during the 90s, before returning to the West Country with her set designer partner and children. Making regular guest appearances with Cornish bands like Funny Feathers and Gwelhellin Goth, singer, songwriter and recording artist Kelsey talks with in-person presenter Mike Dees about her musical career.
Hello, I'm Mike Dees, and in this edition of In Person, I'm speaking with Kelsey Michael. Hello, Kelsey.
Hello.
When did you realise you had the gift of a singing voice and begin using it as an instrument?
I think I always loved listening to records. I used to have one of those 45 players that you piled up a whole load of singles on and just put about 10 on there, and loved watching them drop down and sing along with all the tunes.
You especially like jazz. That was your father's influence, wasn't it?
Yeah,
jazz right through.
My dad used to listen to a lot of jazz, and we always used to listen to Humphrey Lyttelton and Peter Clayton, and we used to have to be quiet and play very quietly while that was on, because he recorded the whole programme and was doing things on his reel-to-reel at the same time. So I suppose I listened to it properly, and the same names came up again and again. So I started looking through his record collection and pulling out Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong and the singers I was into.
You went on to study drama and French at Lancaster University.
Yeah, I got into drama. It was sort of the most exciting thing we got to do at secondary school, I think, and found it really freeing because there were so many possibilities to use music, to use dance. So I went to Lancaster, and I was very lucky. There was a great group of people there, and we were taught by amongst others, a chap called Pete Brooks, who was very experimental in his approach to theatre. It was pure physical theatre at that stage, and we did shows where we just threw ourselves around and backflips and just huge amount of energy. And then I came out and joined his company called Insomniac.
You went on to work with the Tom Bancroft Big Band.
Yeah, he sort of took a chance on me, really, because I didn't have much singing experience. I didn't have much experience of singing with a band, let alone a Mingassy jazz big band. So I went up to Scotland and sang a couple of songs at the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh, and there was one particular song called China Heart, which I did on and off for a few years with that big band, and it was amazing to be singing with a band full of characters, very anarchic, really, and just good fun.
You went to Scandinavia for 2 weeks performing with the.
Yeah, that was my first job as a singer when I was 22, and they never rehearsed me. I did 2 weeks, but it was a good experience. It made me realise, actually, that although there was money in it, that wasn't really something I wanted to do, because I found it a very bland experience in lots of ways, going from hotel to hotel and big venues, no real connection, with your audience.
Getting these breaks at a young age must have given you confidence to pursue your dream.
It did, but really I was spending all my energy going to class and working as a dancer. I formed a company with Tom Bancroft, and we did improvisation with jazz musicians and dancers. So I was sort of focusing on that, but the singing was always there in the background, and I knew that eventually the other things would fall away and I'd concentrate on that.
In 1994 you decided to concentrate on songwriting and singing, and you'd formed Minnow, and you played the London club scene extensively. Well, what was the lineup of Minnow?
It was
a small big band, wasn't it, really?
It was, yeah. I suppose, I was influenced by Tom and by things I was listening to, and just the brass section was a big part of a lot of the music I loved, like the Billie Holiday Orchestra. And so I decided I really wanted brass, and that kind of decision came first. So I wrote the songs, and then I started trying to write horn arrangements. And then I found horn players to play them, and they helped me make them into proper parts. I found Mark Sanders on the drums, who's just amazing, so free, so much swing, and John Edwards on the bass, who kind of makes the bass make unusual noises which it doesn't normally make, and harmonics, and makes it sort of sing like a voice really sometimes. So I had those two. And then Liam Noble came in, who's a great jazz pianist, And we put the whole thing together and started to gig.
You took a break to raise your 2 young children, May, who's 10, and Sydney, 5. What are you currently doing?
Well, since I've come down to Cornwall, I've been singing with Funny Feathers from time to time. That started when Sydney was about 2 months, and we'd go down to Pray Sands on a Sunday once a month. And it was just great, something you could just go out and do, sing, the whole family could come. So I still do that. I've done a little bit with Gwelhellin Goth. I can never say the name of that band.
Gwelhellin Goth.
Thank you,
I had to
Mike.
learn to say that.
Yeah, we did a song on their last album, kind of country song that Joanna, Jonathan's mother, wrote a long time ago. So that's
when I first heard you.
So that's been nice to do. And now I'm doing part of a project with Andrew Lanyon. He's got a whole stack of words, and we just take something out of the pile of paper and write a song as very quickly. He records it on camera, and then he makes a film to go with it, a short film, and a lot of them are sort of snapshots. They're written in 7 to 10 minutes. I'm finding that I can still write songs.
2 songs you wrote were Full Moon and Out of the Woods.
Yeah.
And they were specific to Cornwall, weren't they?
Yeah, those 2 songs were on the last CD which I made, which was called Out of the Woods.
The moon hangs back till it's blacker than black, then steps down to the hedges and spider webs lighting them home.
Full Moon is written after a walk from Sennan to Porthcurno in the summer, but I left it a little bit late to set out. So by the time we were sort of not that close to treatment, darkness started coming in. One of my friend's knees were giving out. My friend Emma was lingering behind, photographing all the colours of the grasses and the heather with the sunset, because they were just golden and shining. And eventually we had to go in and finish our walk on the road because it was getting a bit hairy on the cliff path with the lack of light. And eventually we did end up at Logan's Rock, and we got our pints and our chips. And
I like that pub.
and everything was fine. But this song came out of it, just a description of the colours, really, and the walk, the kind of plodding walk is there in the beat. And one of Emma's photographs is inside the CD.
Kelsey Michael, having enjoyed listening to you in concert, I look forward to following your musical career. Thank you.
Thank you.
Weary to tangle with unruly twines, go like a shot, get ready to fly. The path that winds through the forest you'll find is the one to the home where the heart is.
In Person was presented by Mike Dees, produced by Julian Rowe, and is a Hearsay production for Cornwall Online Radio. For more information about Kelsey, visit our website www.cornwallonlineradio.co.uk.